Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat Conversations, and I'm your boy AG, aka the Boxing Guru, and I'm joined today with my man DB, and this is the episode. This is it.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound list, baby. This is gonna be the most controversial episode that we come out with so far, because we've been in arguments back and forth with folks about this pound for pound list.
Bunch of new names on the list, and a lot of names that we had on our last list, they ain't there no more, man.
Done fell off like a bad habit.
Dropped.
So when we talk about this pound for pound list, you know, everything getting shaken up. Canelo done lost. Jermell Charlo done became undisputed champion. All this is evolving in like a week. 7 days. Then you got Kambosos Haney coming up. You're gonna have a true undisputed. I mean,
true.
What is it what makes your pound for pound list?
Skill.
That's it?
Yeah, skill.
Skill, that's it.
I mean, like on the last episode, I tried doing skill and resume, but I mean, the more thinking I did, it's skill. That's what pound for pound is basically for. You know, we talked to someone on Twitter. Guy literally made a list based off how many belts one fighter has. It's fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, hey, you know, you say it's fucking stupid, but at the same time, I'm just gonna say that's fucking his. I mean, it's his list, but essentially his list will get shaken up a lot more for non-boxing reasons or whatever the case may be. So just what you said, my boxing pound for pound list, or any pound for pound list really, is simply based off of skill set. Because let's jump back 100 years when the pound for pound list even got created. I don't even know when, last 70 years, whatever. But essentially, it's how the smaller boxers, lightweights, welterweights, anything of that nature, how they would fare against the heavyweights, right? Or anything. Okay, so let's run with that narrative. I'm cool with people who don't put heavyweights on their list. I get it. I don't agree, and I put heavyweights on my list, but I'll explain why. But I understand that's the notion. It was, do you think a guy in a smaller division would fare well against a guy in a heavyweight division?
Again, if they were the same size,
yeah,
same, you know, had the same weight, but the lightweight or the welterweight or whoever you have, they have their same skill sets. How do they compare with the heavyweights?
Touche. So it didn't matter how many belts they had. It didn't matter how many accolades. He won Fighter of the Year. He did.
All you do is focus on skill.
You was focusing on whether or not you thought the littler guy, the smaller guy, had the skill set to translate. If he was a little bit bigger in stature and could actually measure up against that guy, would he have a fair chance? Now, here's where the pound for pound list started evolving. Now you're getting guys in the lightweight and welterweight division on the list that could potentially fight each other. Before, it might have been a fantasized list. This guy will never be big enough to fight him.
But as time went on over the years, and as all these weight classes kept getting bigger and bigger, it's like, okay, we can see somebody at 135 go up to 140 or even 147 or whatever, and see if they can fare with whoever's in that division.
And when you have them a division or two apart, that's what's the beauty of it. You could get them to fight. Now, we'll allude to some of them on the very small end, and on there's some fights on the pound for pound list you'll never be able to get your answer.
No.
You'll never be able to get your answer on who's the better fighter with the skill set. But it doesn't matter if you have them with belts or not, you're not going to get the fights. But luckily enough, when you have two fighters that are high on that list who can fight each other, you want to see it. And to me, it boils down to skill set, not who has the more belts. And we're going to get into an example of that. There's so many examples to me of two fighters when it comes down to resume and skill set about why you would have a fighter on your list. So
I mean, it does matter to an extent.
Oh, it all matters to, again, we'll get to examples of why. Who you fight matters.
How you beat them matters.
A bunch. There's a lot of factors that go into that to why somebody may or may not be on your pound for pound list. even if it's your reasons and criteria, my reasons and criteria, your reasons and it doesn't matter. Whoever's it is, it's an opinion-based list with no factual statistical data to back it up. So if you could come to grips with that, then at least you getting somewhere.
Right.
But
people aren't like that. And
no, that's it. You don't know shit about boxing. Your pound for pound list is trash. Now here's where I'm getting at for us listeners. Okay, we've established our criteria for the pound for pound list. Strictly skill set. Who do we think has the best skills in boxing to translate? If that person was in any division, where would they fare, and how well do we think they would do in any division against any boxer? Right. Simply put. So, I mean, if you're ready, I'm ready to get into it.
Man, I've been ready.
I'm ready to break it down. So, it's going to be a lot of controversy. So, with that being said, since we broke it down, all you should look for is consistency. I'm not throwing anybody in because they have this or they have that. That's it. Now, they come with it. Essentially, in order to prove yourself, you have to come with it. So, let's go ahead and jump in it. Because as I go higher on my list, I really think we'll start to understand, but I'm gonna catch some people off guard with this number 10 right off the bat. They gonna be like, holy shit, like, where's he going with this? You'll understand where I'm going with this once we get a little further. This is gonna
be completely like way out of left field.
It's gonna be way out of left field. So since we getting in on the list, Boxing Guru AG right here, right now, at Combat Convo 502
Who you got
and 504. Follow us on Twitter. Number 10, Marius Breedis.
What?
Left field. What? Marius Breedis. Man, look. The man skillfully is arguably one of the best boxers in boxing. And his only L is an utmost close fight, a fight he arguably won against a guy who's going to later be named in everybody's basically top 3 pound for pound. So Marius Breedis, to me, skill-wise, doesn't matter what division he was in, the way his counterpunching is nice. Even in that Usyk fight, when he was eating them jabs, he knows how to get in on the inside. Anthony Joshua, being a bigger man, needs to go watch that Breedis tape and go fight Usyk.
The volume he was producing in that fight was crazy. Yeah. Like, Usyk was landing nice shots, but he just kept coming, and Usyk did the same thing.
And Usyk's volume never deteriorated. He was the same old active guy, and Breedis continually was getting in on the inside and making those counter punches count. His accuracy was up there. So it's a fight he arguably won. Marius Breedis is not popular. He's like a Bivol. Nobody knew about him. Ain't nobody gonna talk about him. But Marius Breedis, to me, fighter. Is a guy who belongs skill-wise, and he's got a belt. What would you know? And he's Ring Magazine Cruiserweight champ. What would you know? Scratch your head. Holy shit, he's got accolades. You know, and to me, it goes hand in hand. I'm not throwing a fighter on my list simply and only because he has 3 or 4 belts. It's your skill set, ultimately, to me, that decides whether or not you belong. And Marius Breedis is at number 10 to me.
Without question.
All right, move on. Number 9, little controversy here. He slid down tremendously since my last one, but that's not because of him falling down. This is because other fighters continuously proven to me their skill is getting better. Again. And number 9 comes limping in with Triple G. Now, Triple G, to me, still has that skill set that is going to give anybody problems. He's got the offense that is base. He could be higher on the pound for pound list if we talking strictly offense. But again, skill set, you can't overlook defense.
I mean, even for a diminished Triple G, the offense is still there. His power is still there.
Yes, he was whipping that head back against Murata.
That jab, like every time it connected with Murata, his head was snapping back. So even as a diminished Triple G, I mean, he's still dangerous. But the only question we have, and granted, we all know that G's got an all-time great chin, but, you know, unless you're Tom Brady, Father Time catches up to everybody.
And he's going to catch up to Tom Brady, too. So go ahead with that one. All right. So, again, Triple G still, to me, has the skill set and the prowess right now to cause anybody problems if that guy was in any division. And what would you know? Triple G's a champ. I mean, the accolade, they go hand in hand.
They do.
Okay? So, moving on to the next one. Number 8. Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr.
That's
is
a little low.
The defense again he's taking some shots. Errol Spence Jr.'s jab is arguably one of the best jabs in boxing. Consistent. His work output is tremendous. He causes problems for anybody in the ring. But Errol Spence's defense lacks a little bit. Errol Spence is no stranger to getting pieced up. Sean Porter hit him with a couple great shots. Hughes was in there landing great punches. Kell Brook got his on there. Again, Errol Spence's offense is too hard to overcome, similarly to a Triple G. That jab is proficient, but it's his defense that lacks. That keeps him at number 8 to me.
So did the eye injury or the car accident, did that play a factor in for you?
I don't think so. I mean, over time, I've always had Errol Spence in that 5 to 8 range, depending on what fighters have stepped up and really showed. We'll get to, at the end of the list, I'm going to get to a couple honorable mentions and we'll talk about it. But no, I don't think the eye injury, I don't think the car crash, he needed time to overcome it. I think he got that time. Errol Spence has looked phenomenal. Got him coming in at number 8 pound for pound. I really think Errol Spence skill set is the truth. He is the truth. His offense is legit. Now here's where the shit, all hell might break loose. All hell's fitting to break loose. Number 7. Canelo Alvarez. Holy shit, Canelo don't went from number 1 to number 7. You know what? Gotta eat a little crow on this one. Gotta eat a little humble pie. Anytime to me, your top pound for pound guy falls because of a boxing match, you gotta ultimately eat some humble pie because you thought the guy was on top of the hill and he just got thrown off the motherfucking hill.
Right, no. He got yoinked.
Everybody hit Canelo number 1. I don't want to say everybody because not everybody did, but the vast majority. I
mean, them haters are happy. Man, them haters are.
So, again, Canelo was number 1. I ultimately didn't think that there was anybody who could outbox him with the IQ. Again, anybody in his range, I would have thought Canelo would beat. I'm not going to lie. That's why he was number 1 pound for pound. The same thing with Bivol. We knew Bivol would be a problem, but we both ultimately did think that late in the rounds, Canelo would overcome with his greatness and beat him. And that's not what happened.
Well, and that's because that's Canelo's MO. I mean, you go back to the Billy Joe Saunders fight or even the Caleb Plant fight. I mean, me and you, we joke around, but ultimately we knew Canelo in the later rounds was going to pull away and put them away. Yeah.
And we thought the same would kind of happen to Bivol, even though we expanded on the problems he would give Canelo. It was ultimately Bivol's skill that overcame and beat Canelo. Thus, why I'm naming Canelo before I'm naming Bivol. And that's the consistency in the list. There may be different criteria for myself, yourself, everybody listening, but at least you understand the consistency that I'm bringing. There's going to be more skillful fighters who now that Canelo has shown me this is the recipe, and there are boxers in the game who can do that. So, to move on, keep going. Coming in at number 6, the monster, Nonye Inoue. I mean, he is a monster, especially his jab. Can't overlook his jab. His body work. His body work's better than Canelo's.
It's almost Triple G like.
I mean, it's the jab, the power that he brings for his division. Again, 118 pounds. Of course, he's not gonna move a guy like Tyson Fury. Of course not. But let's imagine that there was a guy who boxed just like Inoue, the monster, who had a very stiff jab, who went to the body like none other with the footwork, but yet he was also in Fury's height and weight range. Ain't saying it's got to be exact. Let's just say very close. I think a guy like Inoue would give problems to Tyson Fury. More so than anybody in the heavyweight division right now.
Dude, if you had someone who's 6'9" and fights the way that Inoue does,
it would be insane.
It's fucking nuts.
That's to me, that's the example of the imaginary part. We'll never figure out who would beat each other in the ring versus Tyson Fury and Inoue. But I've already named some lists on the list that we will get to that could potentially fight each other and shake this whole thing up.
Bust it up like an NCAA bracket.
So coming in to crack the top 5 is my man, Dimitri Bivol, who just put on a performance against Canelo. So
Dude put on a clinic.
Bivol is a new name. Bivol wasn't on the past pound for pound list. Again, why wasn't he on the pound for pound list? At least mine. I didn't think he had the skill set to go up against a guy with as greatness of Canelo. We knew he was sharp. I knew Bivol was the real deal. But Bivol hadn't beaten anybody to make me think, oh yes, he would also do that against anybody in the top of the game right now.
Like, he didn't fight anybody that made AG stand up on top of the mountain and be like, this motherfucker's top 5 pound for pound.
Exactly. He didn't, not only did he not fight anybody worthy like that, to our point before, Bivol fights down to the level of his competition or ultimately fights up to the level of his competition. He wasn't putting on fireworks shows. So it didn't make you warrant a pound for pound attraction. But now that he stepped up against the pound for pound king, who I didn't think at the moment could be taken down by anybody in that weight range, put on a clinic and showed my skill set will translate against anybody in any weight division, and he's the real deal.
That he is.
I do believe Dimitri Bivol's the real deal.
I can't wait till Bivol takes on the winner of Better Beef and Smith, because I do believe he's going to go undisputed at 175, and I would like to see that rematch at 168 for Canelo's titles.
Yeah, that's another argument for another day. We'll talk about it. Do we want to see Bivol go down to 165?
168.
168. That'll be a test of his pound for pound. Can he translate at least within a couple divisions of himself? You'll never be able to go down 3 and 4 divisions. You'll never go up 3 or 4 divisions that quick. Right. Unless you Manny Pacquiao and you just could conquer 8 divisions. But moving on with the list. Coming in at number 4 is Tyson Fury. Now, Tyson Fury, to me, skill set, we no need to speak on it. We know how he moves like a middleweight, light on his feet. The jab is crazy. Tyson Fury, no matter what size he was, would give problems. I really do think that.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
He boxes. He's powerful. He has a chin. He got body work. He could switch hit. What else do you need skill set wise for Tyson Fury to prove that he's a legit top pound for pound guy, even though you may not put heavyweights on your pound for pound list? Some people don't.
You know, but again, that's that imaginary factor that we go off of.
Exactly. If there happened to be a guy in the 168 division with Canelo and Benavidez and all these guys, if there was a guy who was on the tall side, had a really long reach, and bounced up and down, was a hard target to hit, he'd cause problems for them too.
Just imagine someone like David Benavidez's frame, but Canelo's boxing skills.
Or Tyson Fury boxing skills.
Yeah.
Where I'm getting at. That's it. You know, I really do think Tyson Fury's skill set is superior now because I've seen what it takes to beat Canelo. And I think if you was to have a guy like Tyson Fury dance and bounce and jab, he's taking anything Canelo's giving him. He ate Wilder's punches. We know he's got a chin.
Right.
So I don't think that arm shit that Canelo was doing against Callum Smith, it didn't work against Bivol, and it's not working against Tyson Fury. Sorry. Moving on with the list, coming in at number 3, little controversy. People got him high, people whatever, is Alexander Usyk. Now, his activity level is up there.
It's fucking nuts.
Yes, it's through the roof. His jab, his footwork, just I
can't get over that Breeders fight.
A Loma on steroids.
I can't get over that Breeders fight. Like, he's in the rounds 11 and 12, and the volume he's producing is just insane.
Both of them, for real. I mean, that's why I had Breeders at number 10, because we all love us some Usyk right now. Let's not forget that the war he went with Breeders, and who's the guy who ultimately almost took him out and could have. So Alexander Usyk's output rate is crazy. Footwork, he showed that he can outbox basically anybody in the game. And
he fucking dismantled AJ.
Yeah, he did. He went up in there and pieced him up. There was a few rounds that AJ could have went swing round, but again, the rounds Alexander Usyk was putting together.
You know, and again,
was unreal.
I know you're not big on the triangle theory, but I mean, with the way that Breedis performed against Usyk, I mean, what about him against AJ? Like, that's another.
That's crazy in itself. So, get to my top two. Top two most skillful fighters in the game. Coming in at number 2, another controversial name so high, is Shakur Stevenson. Now, as y'all know, I had him top 5 right after the Herring fight. I didn't need to see him beat up on House of... I'm straight. I'm trying to get into it.
I mean, like before, like, you know, as you said Shakur's name, man, it looks like you over there, like,
because I'm
jizzing yourself.
I'm getting into my top 2. You know, it's not my fault you don't bring the motherfucking energy like I do. Got to put lessons on you and shit. 24-0, undisputed right here. So Shakur Stevenson to me is the top. Him, may as well get it out the way. Bud Crawford number 1. Shakur and Bud to me are the top most skillful fighters. It doesn't matter what weight division they was to translate to, it would be successful. And I think that, again, if Bud was to meet Errol Spence, I think Bud gets Errol Spence based off of his defensive tactics and his accuracy on the counterpunches. If Errol was to beat him, hey, then my pound for pound list would be wrong, have to be shaken up just like everybody's. Now, that's the pound for pound list. Before I let you go, let's get a couple honorable mentions and explain why they not on the list. Okay? May as well start with Jermell Charlo. Jermell has all 4 belts, but just like him, just like Josh Taylor, and at the moment you could even say Kambosos, guys who have all 4 belts, but yet are not on the pound for pound list because I don't think their skill set is better than any of the guys that I've named. There are guys who I believe that if they translated to that division would beat them, okay? So the skill isn't as high even though the accolades are through the roof. It gets no better than Undisputed Champ. But I don't put them on that list because Josh Taylor showed me his skill set is not there against Catterall. Okay, Jermell Charlo struggled before, impressed me against Castano, but still not there. Kambosos cracked the top 10 before. Few names have improved. I don't think he's there. Okay, now to give one more example, my man Boots. Boots' skill set is off the charts. He could arguably be up there on my top 10 pound for pound list when it comes to skills. But Boots hasn't fought anybody to actually prove that he would do that at that level. Now, if Boots performed just like that against a champ and got a belt, it's a wrap. Boots is on the pound for pound list for sure.
Just like that.
Just like that. He'd have the accolade to go with the skill. Well, simply put.
That's going to be
and
a long time.
And that is AG, the Boxing Guru's top 10 pound for pound list.
Okay. Man.
Whew, brought that fire. Dropped the bomb on him from top to bottom, explained it with consistency. It is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
But I respect everybody's pound for pound list, though. You know, we not one of them guys that just because your pound for pound list is different from mine, you don't know shit about boxing. It's just you put different criteria into yours, and that's fine.
No, there's nothing wrong with that because at the end of the day, it's opinionated. You know, like you said, there's no statistical fact that says so-and-so is number 10 or number 8 or number 3 or whatever. Yep. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into mine.
Okay.
So at number 10, had him about him. You know, it's not exactly Breedis, but I got Triple G at number 10.
Okay. Limped in at number 10, just like he limped in at number 9 for me.
Right. No, I mean, like what we touched on earlier, like G's offense is still there. The power's still there. That jab's still nice. It's still disgusting. As we alluded to, his chin is all-time great, but we don't know how it's going to hold up. And his defense, it's not what it once was.
No.
But I still think at most weight classes, maybe not all of them, but it's still at most weight classes, I think his skill set can still transfer at any weight.
Oh, he's giving problems to anybody in any weight class. It's just now that you mention it, the further you get down your list, it's the guys that I don't think Triple G would beat anymore.
Right.
That's what we're getting at. So,
right.
Good
and
point.
I'm not going to say it's because of lack of skill or thereof. It's superior. He's older.
Yeah.
And again, still a diminished Triple G is still fucking dangerous.
Right.
So with that being said, I got G at number 10, and at number 9, he kind of moved up one slot, and that's Kambosos.
Okay.
Now, when was the last time we did our pound for pound? Was it 6 months ago?
At least about 6 months ago.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Okay, so like I said, 6 months ago when we went over our last pound for pound episode, I mostly went off the resume. I originally put Kambosos on because, you know, we kind of thought, okay, Tiafimo made it when he beat Loma, so, you know, a little inside joke. Me and AG, we call it the Tio treatment.
The Loma effect.
Yeah. So that's why I originally had him on there, but, you know, had to think it over, and I do think Kambosos, his skill can transfer over at most weight classes. I'm not going to say any, but for the most part, like, you know, at 140, maybe 147, you know, his footwork is good. He can box off his back foot a little bit. You know, he's very technically sound. He has pretty good defense. So all in all, I do think he does deserve to be on the list, and I do think his skill set transfers over.
Okay, so real quick question, just how we get into it. You could ask me a couple of these questions along the way, and I'd have gave you a definitive answer, and we're going to get into that in come time. You think Kambosos' skill set's a little bit superior than Devin Haney's? You think Kambosos gets Devin Haney in their match coming up?
I do.
Okay, because we're going to have that prediction and that breakdown come for you in the future.
Right, and early prediction, but I think Kambosos is going to get the decision win.
Okay.
So I got Kambosos at number 9, and I do think he's the second best at 135 behind the next guy that I got at number 8, Vasily Lomachenko. So I know Loma has no titles or no, you know, nothing like that, and I know he's got 2 losses. But like I've told you before, even in his 2 losses, I felt like nobody actually showed they were that much better than him. Like they didn't outclass him, outskill him, none of that. And for whatever reason, whether if it's an injury, excuse, whatever you want to think of it, I think
I saw that ESPN 30 for 30 on that shoulder.
You know, I believe in a rematch he would have got T.O., but that's a conversation for another day.
All right, so you got more controversy than me. You got somebody on your list that don't even have a belt right now.
And got 2 losses.
Say that WBC franchise belt, I'd jump across this table. Don't even say that shit. All right, so as controversial as my list was, he's over here got somebody on it with no belts, people. No belts. He's got to defend them. He just did. He tried.
But
on to the next.
And like I said, I still think he's the best at 135 until Shakur comes on. We'll get to him later in the video.
Okay.
So at number 7, mine's it's not any different than yours. I got Canelo. Okay. You know, and
dropped a couple spots, I see.
Yeah, he did. It's not that he lost. You know, I get it. Yeah, you lose, you're gonna drop, but it's how bad he lost, why he dropped that many spots. He got outskilled by Bivol. He got outclassed. He got beat. You know, Bivol just straight up came up to when he came up to 175, Canelo did. Bivol just showed him that there's levels to this.
Yep.
And he outschooled Canelo and just beat him down. So
yeah, he showed he couldn't. It's hard to deal with a guy who has that amount of jab volume. Kind of like Floyd gave him problems with that jab volume. Bivol kind of the same way, but his 1-2 counter punches was just there, and he schooled Canelo.
And it wasn't just the 1-2 combinations. He was giving them 3-4 piece combos.
Yeah, he was.
So you know that's why I got Canelo at number 7.
Uh-huh.
So at number 6, nothing really changed. I got Errol Spence.
Okay.
So you know, I always thought that, you know, the car accident, the eye injury, I always thought that might have played a major factor, you know, in his performance in the future. But
I did think it would play a factor when it happened.
Right.
But ultimately, my conclusion is that he's overcome that, and I expect
I expect
the best Errol Spence going forward.
You know, and when he fought Ugis for the first 5, 6, maybe 7 rounds, the fight was competitive, but you know, Errol, he showed why he's arguably the best welterweight, even though we all know it's Bud. But he showed
we don't know that for sure. We really do think it, and I really do think it. But my goodness, we don't know. I can't wait to find out.
But, you know, regardless of, you know, whatever that bullshit was, you know, Errol showed why he's 1A to, or 1B to Crawford's 1A. Again, it's opinionated.
I mean, I had Errol Spence lower than Bud too. You don't need to explain it to me. I'm just giving you shit.
So at number 5, Dimitri Bivol.
Okay.
Man, I mean, kind of like you, we all knew he was going to be Canelo's toughest fight since Triple G. And like you, I thought, okay, the first couple rounds, Bivol, he's going to take the lead. He's going to get ahead. Rounds 5, 6, maybe 7, that's when the tide starts to turn. And then the rest of the way, Canelo, like he did against Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, everyone else, he takes it over, finishes him, pack it in, call it a day. But that's not what happened. Bivol kept his foot on the gas, and you know, like you said, those 1-2 piece combos, the volume, his jab. I know you was going crazy over his footwork.
I told y'all that footwork, the angles, man, the in and outs, never standing in one spot, but also not over here. You know, Roy Jones was special, but not to allude that he looked like Roy Jones. I'm saying that essentially the angles, the moving in and out. I mean, it's real Loma like. And I'm serious.
And you know, whenever Canelo tried to walk him down, I mean, Bivol's counterpunching, that was also amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, he came up, he showed out against the pound for pound king, and he showed his skill set can transfer at any weight.
Yep.
So that's why I got him at number 5. At number 4, Alexander Usyk. I've always thought, or I've always said, that if you want a picture perfect definition of what pound for pound is, it's Alexander Usyk. Dominated the cruiserweight division. You know, as we talked about, he arguably lost to Breedis. That's really his only blemish in his career. And when he came up to heavyweight, yeah, he kind of had a little rough patch with your sword, but got it done, and then goes and fights AJ and just absolutely whoops his ass.
Yep.
So, you know,
a lot of people have Usyk atop their pound for pound list.
I don't blame him.
And I've seen a lot of people that say if you don't have Usyk top 1, maybe top 2,
you don't know shit about
boxing. Don't know shit about boxing. But again, I got him at 3, and it's like, you know, you got him in here at 4. We still got him high. We know what translates.
Right.
You know, so belts, no belts, skill set speaks for itself.
And the man can fucking box.
Yeah, he can.
So I got Usyk at number 4. At number 3, Shakur Stevenson.
Okay.
Dude, this is the future pound for pound king. This is the future star of boxing.
Yep.
This is the face of boxing. And, you know, when he fought Jermell Herring, he wrote those wrongs from his previous fight. You know, he was getting slammed. It was a snooze fest. Call it NyQuil. Like, wrote those wrongs.
Now they appreciate his skill.
And then he followed it up with a masterclass performance against Oscar Valdez. And even though he lost 2 rounds in that fight, it's not like Oscar was doing anything. It was just Shakur standing in the pocket, showing he can throw with a power puncher.
Yep.
with someone like Oscar Valdez. But then when he went back to that original style, he picked his shots, counter. His jab was nice. His defense is always 100.
Yeah.
I
think the skill set, arguably, like I said, now I had him at number 2 because to me, Bud Crawford's the only one, and then you're going to get to your 2 and 1.
Right.
But essentially, to me, Shakur Stevenson being number 2, you right, he's the future king, and I do believe he will supplement number 1 soon. Now I just got to see him do that against other people within the 135 division who are deep. Bud's been doing it through 130, 135, 140. Bud's been doing it. So that's why he translates to me number 1. Shakur's right on his heels.
Oh, without question. Like, I don't see anybody under 147 really beating. You know, and as I said earlier, I still got Loma as the best at 135, but that's really until Shakur comes in.
I agree.
You know, so...
And if to me, just putting a little side note before you finish up real quick, if Shakur and Loma fight next and Shakur puts on a masterclass performance against Loma, I'ma fuck around and put Shakur number 1 over Bud.
And I wouldn't be mad.
Unless Bud fucking fights Spence and then rolls him. There's a lot of mix-ups we got going on here. But yeah, I had to put that in on a side note.
No, I agree. And then at number 2, I got Tyson Fury. You know, I think he's the best heavyweight in the world. I think he's actually retiring. It sucks we never got him against Usyk, but I just feel like we said earlier, his skill set goes over to any weight. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 135, 118, 147. It doesn't matter. Like, I believe his skill set, it goes over at any fucking weight class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a guy that bounces on his feet like that with that jabbing. I alluded to it when I talked. Tyson Fury's skill set can box with the best of them.
I mean, yeah, we know he can box with the best of them. Mm-hmm. He can box off that back foot. He can come at you, orthodox, southpaw. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And then at number 1, just like you, I got Bud Crawford. You know, I think he's better counterpuncher. I think he's the most accurate puncher in the game. I think it's non.
Yeah, he's legit. He's that dude. That's why we both have him at number 1. So we done went through our list. I mean, you're looking at it now. If Bud and Errol Spence was to fight, we favoring Bud because we think the skill set would come out on top. But Errol Spence is obviously known to be a top dude. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's so much that goes into a pound for pound for other folks when we try to keep it as simple as possible.
Do you think he steamrolled Spence?
I don't think it would be. Man, I really fucks with Errol Spence in that offensive jab. But my thing is that reason why I even had him say below Canelo, he might be able to get that, you know, that triple G like effect on Canelo with the jab, but Bivol was a little better at backing up a little bit and boxing on the outside. Triple G went up in there to bang. Errol Spence, if he gives that Sean Porter-like performance and lets a guy like Canelo...
Where he can do a little bit of both.
Yeah, and he lets a guy like Canelo land a couple of them shots, Errol Spence might not last.
Right.
You know, so that's my breakdown of it. But, you know, Errol Spence sending Canelo through... man, look, that frustrates the hell out of me because there's only one fight to be made, and that's Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. And I like how after the Castano Charlo fight, that, you know, when they was talking about Boots, he's like, you know, Boots' time's going to come, but we're trying
to get this done.
Even then, I give kudos to Errol Spence for saying that. He ain't ducking Boots. He would take Boots if the opportunity was right. But at the moment, he knows that's not the fight we want. That's not the fight he wants. Kudos to him for actually saying, nah, he's supposed to say that. Like, when that was me, you know, I was saying the same thing. I was a young, hungry shark. But now I got a date. I got a date with Bud.
And so, it's things like that that's making him grow on you more and more each day.
That's it. So that's the Combat Conversations pound for pound list. Follow us on Twitter at Combat Convo 504, at Combat Convo 502. Get in on this mix. Constantly. We'll debate with you on your pound for pound list. Why we think, you know, again, we alluded and broke it down. Top to bottom, left to right. There's fighters who have plenty of belts, ain't making the list. Young fighters hungry who only have one belt, transitioning from division to division, cleaning it up, gaining spots on the pound for pound list. It's all about that skill set and about whether or not we think you bring it.
Well, it's not just, you know, again, it's not just skill set, but it's who you go against and how you beat them and other shit
all
like that.
Matters. But so, yeah, if you performing like that against top competition, that matters. You know, like we alluded to, Boots looks good, but Boots hasn't looked that good against somebody who matters.
Right.
So we don't know if he would look that good. And the jury is still out. Same thing. Jermell impressed me with Castano. He definitely earned some love for me, but I didn't crack that top 10.
What if Boots went in a title eliminator?
What? He's been in title eliminators. I think he's the IBF mandatory for like 2 fights now. I can't blame Boots because what we trying to figure out with 147.
No, I'm saying like, so even his performance in those kind of fights, like that's not enough to put him on your pound for pound?
No, because again, he's fighting limpignets. You know, he just fought Castillo Clayton. These are not guys who I really feel are posing any threat to anybody.
So he's got to do that to a champion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He definitely got to get up in there, or somebody whose skill set that we firmly respect. There hasn't been anybody who Boots has been in the ring with yet that we say this is the guy that we will give Boots his ultimate credit for beating. He hasn't faced that guy yet. So again, his skill set's through the roof, but hasn't proven it against anybody yet. Jermell Charlo is fighting some tough guys, but he's not making it look as easy as a top 10 pound for pound list person should.
Right.
So which is why I'm hesitant and jury's still out on him. But if Jermell continues to fight another talent like that and ultimately has the output he did, Jermell Charlo's going to be cracking top pound. Again, y'all thinking I'm crazy because he's not on the list, but he, skill set wise, he hasn't proven to be a top 10 guy to me.
No,
Simple
I get what
as
you're saying. I mean, the same thing goes for Tank. I mean, he's fighting
Great example.
He's fighting lesser competition than Jermell,
Yeah,
arguably.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely is.
You know, he's kind of struggled here recently, and he's still getting hit a lot. So his skills, it's not showing, or he's not performing to show that, okay, we need to really talk about Tank being on the pound for pound list.
Yeah. I think his opposition, you right, beating Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios, you know, Pitbull was a good win, but again, Pitbull is not sniffing a pound for pound list skill wise either. Nobody's harping on Pitbull being the most skillful guy.
I don't even think Pitbull's gonna sniff a title shot at 135.
No,
I don't.
at all. So that's Combat Convo's pound for pound list. Hit us up, let you know what y'all think. Follow us on Twitter at Combat Convo 504, DB at Combat Convo 502, and this is what we do, baby. We're gonna come out. We need to come out with that MMA rankings because the MMA's been on fire too. But right now, boxing, the shakeups lately with the run, this is the run.
Bro, it's crazy. It's only gonna get more crazy.
And it's only gonna get more crazy. So
honestly, don't expect us to.
Your list might be shaking up here in a bit. Cambosis on yours might take a L to Devin Haney. Who knows?
Right.
This is what we here for. So.
Yep.
Lastly, make sure y'all follow us on Twitter at Combat Combo 504 and 502, baby. We appreciate y'all for listening. So, once again, I've been your boy AG, the boxing guru.
As always, it's your boy DB.
Peace.